magic, chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. Need y'all to take a ride with me. I'm just kid from Fall River, what I know. Riding through my city that they're gentrifying, market rate housing while there's homeless dying. And I know that they're trying cause this program's out there, but I ain't reaching out there, they ain't reaching out there. Empty storefronts, internet to blame, gotta move different if nothing is the same. Entertainment venues, bringing nightlife, transparent police, body cams that's live, I mean live stream they whole shift. Personal info can censor it, even though when involving police it becomes public info. But that's a different topic for a different tempo. Back to my city that they're gentrifying, panhandlers on the Ave and the addicts dying, parents crying, losing kids, half my generation that are doing bids. So how are we gonna get to the youth, teach them right and wrong when not to shoot? Started young in kindergarten, mental health class, your brain's a garden. Teach them all about their feelings. The senior year, let's start the healing. Since tech's here to stay, let's teach with VR. Less bills that way. But what do I know? What can I say? I'm just a kid from Fall River. It's just my observations. Chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. So nighter. All-nighter. Street magic. Chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. Need y'all to take a ride with me. I'm just a kid from Fall River, what I know. Riding through my city that they're gentrifying, market rate housing while there's homeless dying. And I know that they're trying cause this program's out there, but I ain't reaching out there, they ain't reaching out there. Empty storefronts, internet to blame, gotta move different if nothing is the same. Entertainment venues, bringing nightlife, transparent police, body cams that's live, I mean live stream they whole shift. Personal info can censor it, even though when involving police it becomes public info. But that's a different topic for a different tempo. Back to my city that they're gentrifying, panhandlers on the Ave and the addicts dying, parents crying, losing kids, half my generation that are doing bids. So how are we gonna get to the youth, teach them right and wrong when not to shoot? Started young in kindergarten, mental health class, your brain's a garden. Teach them all about their feelings. The senior year, let's start the healing. Since tech's here to stay, let's teach with VR. Less bills that way. But what do I know? What can I say? I'm just a kid from Fall River. It's just my observations. Chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. So nighter.
What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your boy, Aaron All-Nighter. This is the Fall River Experience, episode 14. Make sure you share this out to your news feed, share this to groups, tag people in a post, tag people in the comment section. Send this out to like-minded individuals in Messenger. If you're an admin or a moderator of a group, share this to your group on Facebook and put at everyone. It is highly appreciated. Right now, we are streaming on 3 different locations, 2 different platforms. We are on YouTube, on Street Magic Multimedia. We are on Facebook on the Fall River Experience. And we are on Facebook on the Aaron All-Nighter page. So follow, subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you know when we go live. Now, with all that being said, I start each and every episode with the weather. That way, if you ain't been outside yet today, you know how to dress for the day. Check this out. We'll talk about it.
Stephen, I just stepped outside and it's just as you said in your forecast, warm, beautiful sunshine, feels nice.
It does this morning, and I think as we go into later today, we'll start feeling a bit more moisture in the air, but especially the next couple of days, that tropical-like feel will return to our area. Here, of course, is Block Island, a good place to be over the next couple of days to stay cool, and you can see that sunshine out there, the blue sky, and the water's pretty calm as well. Though there is a moderate rip current risk at the local beaches, so be mindful of that if you are heading down to the water. Here, of course, is Narragansett. We are looking at, again, a nice day out there. Plenty of people already getting their spot for the day in the sand, enjoying that sunshine. Temperatures right now in the low 70s across much of the area, about 71 down in New Bedford, 76 now in Newport. Many of us will be in the 80s as we go into the afternoon hours, again with rising humidity. Live radar, nice and quiet, not tracking any kind of showers or thunderstorms out there for today. It's all thanks to high pressure in control, keeping all that storminess away for now. But as we go into Thursday afternoon and again Friday afternoon, there's at least a chance of a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So my three key things. Again, today's looking just fine, a bit more humid, but still very nice. Late day shower and storm chances next couple of days, kind of the hit or miss kind of variety, not really a widespread issue. As we go through the weekend, though, staying very warm and very humid as well. Dew points will be soaring into the 70s over the next few days. Satellite and radar seeing those clear skies overhead. There could be some extra afternoon clouds kind of filtering on through, but I think for the most part, we're looking at mainly sunny conditions for today. We can time things out and go into the future here. Let's go towards about 11 a.m. Late morning, seeing temperatures well into the 80s in Providence, approaching 80 in the coastal communities as well. For later on this evening, here's about 8 p.m. We're back into the 70s. Very muggy, though. Overnight into tomorrow. A good night to have the air conditioners going as we go into tomorrow. And really just the next several days, they'll be getting quite the workout with this, summer-like heat, of course, with us for the next several days. Let's go into the day tomorrow. Notice early on we're dry, but as we go into the afternoon, some scattered showers and thunderstorms start popping up across southern New England to our west. And these will be making their way on through during the afternoon. And it's, a brief shower or storm chance, but any storm that forms because of all the moisture in the air could, of course, produce some very heavy rainfall. So just be mindful of that as we go towards tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, though, we're quiet as we go into Friday morning. Sunshine, temperatures at 8 a.m. already near 80 in Providence. Here's a snapshot of today's forecast. And you can see the warmth across inland areas, mid to upper 80s. Not quite as warm near the shoreline because of that sea breeze that kicks up for the afternoon. Still, again, really nice as we go into tonight. Those lows falling back to around 70 or so, give or take a couple of degrees, but not too bad. Just very muggy out there. We'll be staying dry. One thing to note, though, watch out for some patchy fog developing, especially near coastal areas as we go in towards tonight and tomorrow morning. And then here's, of course, tomorrow's forecast. Daytime highs approaching close to 90 in some cases, but when you factor in the humidity, the dew points in the 70s, it's going to feel more like the mid to upper 90s and potentially near 100 in some locations. Here's that heat index for tomorrow afternoon again, mainly inland areas seeing those feels like temperatures well into the 90s to perhaps near 100. Similar story for Friday as well. So here's your 7-day for you. Again, no major storms in that 7-day forecast, but staying hot and humid right through the weekend. And of course, that full 7-day forecast, you can find it more in detail on our website at WPRI.com. So a nice stretch of weather. I think the traffic going down to the beaches many days will be quite busy.
I was thinking the same thing, Stephen.
Especially the weekend.
I've started to notice traffic along Route 4 picking up, people, of course, already at the beach down there.
All right, so beach weather all week unless the heat and humidity make it rain. But they're saying that tomorrow we're looking at feel like temperatures of 100 degrees. So everybody get your ACs, fans going if they're not already going. Check on your elderly neighbors. Check on people that may not have air conditioner because it's going to be a hot one this week. But we are in summer and we are in the hottest month of summer. So what do you expect? Now, moving along, check this out. We'll talk about it. Florida police have 2 in custody after late night shots fired incident. Those are the two right there. Florida police responded to a late night shooting, and it appears they have captured the suspects. At approximately 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night, call came in for shots fired in the area of Slade Street. According to Acting Chief J.T. Hall, officers responded to the intersection of Slade and Scott. After speaking with witnesses and the victim, investigators determined that James Hickey, 36, allegedly fired 3 shots near the victim. The investigation also led to Dominique Starks, 34, who was also involved. Thanks to the swift response of the officers assigned to the Florida Police Department's Patrol Bureau, Hickey was located hiding inside a nearby residence. Members of the Major Crimes Division assisted with the investigation, and after executing a search warrant, officers located and seized the firearm and ammunition. Investigators also determined that Starks was allegedly involved in the incident and provided misleading statements in an attempt to help Hickey hide from police. Hickey has had prior drug charges and faces charges related to the assault with a dangerous weapon and the illegal possession of a firearm subsequent offense, as well as an elevated charge of being previously convicted of a violent crime/drug crime. Starks was charged with firearm possession violations and also misleading the police. Both are expected to be arraigned in Fall River District Court. No people were hit by the gunfire. So, guns, drugs, Fall River, you know. How do you feel about that one? Comment below. Moving along, check this out. We'll talk about it. 46-year-old Florida man held without bail in Superior Court after arrest on list of drug and firearm charges. Florida man facing a list of charges was arraigned Tuesday in Superior Court. According to police, on June 4th, detectives of the Cash Unit were armed with a search warrant for the residence of 46-year-old Clarence Mendez on the 500 block of 3rd Street. As detectives approached the residence, they observed Mendez making what appeared to be a hand-to-hand drug transaction with a vehicle parked outside of his residence. Detectives intervened and detained both involved parties. Detectives then executed the search warrant on Mendez's residence. During the search, detectives discovered approximately 22.6 grams of suspected crack cocaine, a polymer 89mm handgun with no serial number, a large capacity firearm feeding device, 15 rounds of ammunition, and over $60,000 cash in the apartment. This was all collected and logged into evidence. Clarence was arrested for the following charges: firearm and felony, possession large capacity, firearm without FID card, subsequent offense, ammunition without FID card, feeding device, possession large capacity, firearm storage improper large capacity, firearm violation with one prior violent drug crime, drug distribution class B, subsequent offense, firearm untraceable receiving, firearm possession large capacity. Firearm untraceable, possession of felony, cocaine, trafficking in 18 grams or more, less than 36 grams. At arraignment in District Court, Mendez pled not guilty and was held without bail. Court records show that on Tuesday in Fall River Superior Court, after being indicted in July, he pled not guilty and was held without bail. Mendez has a dangerousness hearing scheduled for August 11th. So, August 11th, he goes back to court. And then that's when they'll either decide to hold him dangerous or they will release him. Now, if they hold him dangerous, that is 120 days, no bail. And then after the 120 days, they go back to court to see if the dangerousness can be lifted. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But we will see soon. Now, moving along, check this out. We'll talk about it. Pierre-Ende Jean-Louis, a 20-year-old illegal immigrant from Haiti, was arrested by Florida police on June 22nd on charges including possession of child pornography, decent assault and battery on a person over 14, and extortion by threat of injury. Local authorities later released him. On July 18th, ICE officers from the Boston field office apprehended him during a traffic stop in Fall River. He has been served with a notice to appear before an immigration judge and will face full due process under federal immigration law. That's a picture of the guy right there. So, was over the age of 14, under the age of 18. The kid's 20 years old. However, here illegally in the country, that's not going to hold well for you. He's going back to Haiti. It's like the old INS, I no stay. Check this out. We'll talk about it. On the anniversary of the Borden murders, premiere date for Monster, the Lizzie Borden story revealed. We're going to get into a clip of this in a second, but according to Netflix, after being produced in Los Angeles, California, season 4 of Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's Monster series will be centered on Lizzie Borden. As previously reported, the new season will center on Lizzie. Ella Beatty will play Lizzie, while Charlie Hunnam, who played Ed Gein in the most recent season of the anthology series, will return. Beatty previously appeared in Murphy's Feud, Capote vs. the Swan. She can also be seen in Mary Bronstein's Sundance sensation, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Locals remember that Hunnam spent the summer and spring of 2018 in Fall River and surrounding communities shooting the movie Jungle Land. Also joining the fourth season of Monster are Vicky Creeps from Phantom Thread, Monster, the Ed Gein story, as the Bordens' live-in maid Bridget Sullivan, and Rebecca Hall, Christine Passing, as Lizzie's stepmother Abby Borden. Billie Lourd, American Horror Story and The Last Showgirl, will play Lizzie's older sister Emma, while Jessica Borden, The End of the Fucking World, Dune Prophecy, will play Lizzie's actress friend Nance O'Neill. According to Vanity Fair, the 8-episode series will debut on September 17th and will have a darkly comic tilt. Music from Kate Bush, Wet Leg, and Lambrini Girls will be featured. Now, like I said, we're going to get into a clip about Lizzie Borden's anthology series being highlighted on Netflix with the Monster series, and got a feeling this is going to be a good one. And can Fall River capitalize? We'll get to that. Check this out. We'll talk about it.
Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks.
That's actress Ella Beatty dripping in blood in this first look at Monster, the Lizzie Borden story, coming to Netflix on September 17th.
I think she's amazing. I've seen a couple of the scenes that she's shot so far, and I already know she's one of the best actors that I'm ever going to have a chance to work with.
And that talent runs in the family. Ella's the daughter of Warren Beatty and Annette Bening.
Oh, I think if it's fun for her, that's what's important.
And she's taking on the lead role of Lizzie, the first female monster to be featured in Ryan Murphy's Emmy-winning anthology series. The inspiration for season 4 is the stuff of legends.
When she seen what she had done, she gave her father 41.
All the way back in 1892, Lizzie was tried and acquitted of slaughtering her dad and stepmom in a brazen daytime attack inside their shared home. The alleged weapon? An axe.
It's pretty brutal. I mean, his entire face is brutally bashed in.
Abby suffered 19 blows. She's face down. Much of the back of her head has been hacked.
Whoever did this was personal. This was a lot of anger and a lot of rage.
Yeah, Ella tells ET female rage is at the center of this Victorian-era story, which explores what can happen when a repressed spinster meets her breaking point. The Beauty's Rebecca Hall plays Abby, Lizzie's mommy dearest.
Joining the Ryan Murphy universe, when you join it, you're in it.
I'm really excited. It's a really good gang to be a part of.
And Charlie Hunnam, who we last saw as serial killer Ed Gein in season 3, returns to the series as Lizzie's dad, Andrew.
Have you passed along any insight to your season 4 co-star Ella Beatty?
No, not really. You know what? She is fully realized. She is a ferocious, insanely talented human being, and so I don't really think she needs any advice from me. I think she's got it covered.
Vicky Creeps, who was also in the Ed Gein story, appears as the Borden's live-in maid, Bridget Sullivan, who becomes Lizzie's more worldly confidant and perhaps even her co-conspirator.
I think it will mess with your head.
And expect some sinister surprises, including Sarah Paulson as another female murderer, Eileen Warnose.
It was startling to see myself for the first time, and at the same time I thought, oh, there she is. There she is.
I am friendly with Sarah Paulson.
What did she say?
Just find the truth, be courageous, don't be afraid of the darkness.
Lizzie Borden took a knack. She gave her mother 40 whacks. When she seen what she had done, she gave her father 41. Yeah! That's what she did. Now listen. 4 of them. We need to capitalize on Lizzie Borden. Okay? We are in the national and international spotlight right now. Okay? I've been saying this for years. And it looks like former Mayor Will Flanagan heard me. Check this out. We'll talk about it. Former Mayor Will Flanagan recently just posted this. What if I told you Florida is sitting on a multi-million-dollar tourism opportunity? Netflix is expected to release a major Lizzie Borden movie, putting Florida's most famous story back in front of millions of people around the world. TV show, not movie. Now, the spotlight is coming. The only question is, will Fall River be ready? Look at what Salem has accomplished. Every October, hundreds of thousands of visitors flood the city for Halloween, filling hotels, restaurants, shops, and local businesses. Salem turned its history into an economic engine. Fall River can do the same. This is where the Lizzie Borden story happened. Tour the Lizzie Borden house, visit Lizzie Borden's gravesite, walk the same streets where history unfolded. Experience the mystery in the city where it all began. Now imagine an entire Lizzie Borden festival. Haunted streets, ghost tours, candlelight history walks, Victorian costumes and live reenactments, music, food trucks, local vendors, and family attraction. Businesses decorated for August. Visitors filling our downtown, taking photos, shopping, eating, and supporting local businesses. Not South Main Street. There's nothing on South Main Street. But other areas. Now, this isn't about glorifying a crime. It's about celebrating our history, creating jobs, supporting small businesses, and giving people a reason to visit and keep coming back. Fall River already has the story. We already have the history. We already have the destination. Now we need the vision. Other cities cash in on opportunities that belong right here in Fall River. If you believe Fall River should become New England's next great Halloween destination, hit like, share this post. It's time to think bigger. It's time to believe bigger. It's time for Fall River. Let's start winning. Now, I've been saying this for years. I said this to Flanagan when he was in office. I said this to Jaziel when he was in office. I said this to Sam Sutter when he was in office. And I also said this to Paul Coogan when he started his term. And nobody has the planning or the vision to create something like this. Everybody's had the opportunity. Lizzie Borden's almost 200 years old, this story. Okay? Over 100 years ago, this happened in the 1800s. So we've had the opportunity to capitalize on this. There's an internationally known lullaby about Lizzie Borden. And we just let it go. No vision. But you got places like Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, that's famous because of a groundhog seeing his shadow, where people go visit and tour. You have Salem, which, known for the witch trial, said, hey, how about that? How about we make everything witch-related in October? Ooh, spooky. And they do every year. And there's people that travel from around the world to go to Salem, Massachusetts in October. Now, the anniversary of the killings was yesterday. Now, you see how Netflix put the premiere for the new Monster series the same day as the anniversary? Perfect. Know what Fall River should have did? There should have been a huge festival yesterday. All of those things Flanagan said on a post, we should have that every August 4th. Every August 4th. But we don't. We don't at all. And we can also, since it is a spooky story, carry Lizzie Borden and Lizzie Borden themed events and sightings and tours and all this from August 4th through Halloween. And do all different type of Lizzie Borden events. We can do everything in the Halloween spirit in October. And then August, September, build it up. I mean, get the awareness going. Because Fall River has two nationally known tourist attractions. One, Lizzie Borden. The biggest thing Fall River is known for. Lizzie Borden. Now, we in Fall River know the textile history and all of that. Does the world know that? Not really. Not unless you're in the textile industry. Lizzie Borden, little girls grew up singing the lullaby. Okay? All across the world. Multiple movies done. Countless books wrote. But Fall River government always says, nah, don't want to embrace that at all. Sorry. Hello? Is our government sleeping under a rock? We wonder why we're broke. Because we have multi-million-dollar assets in Fall River that could bring huge tourism, and we do nothing with it. Lizzie Borden being the main one, and then the only other thing Fall River is nationally known for is what's right behind me here at Battleship Cove, the largest collection of naval ships in the world. You highlight those two, put funding into making big events centered around Battleship Cove and Lizzie Borden. Fall River will become a tourist attraction. If you don't do that, well, we'll have panhandlers on our waterfront. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a kid from Fall River. I don't know. Moving along. And this is for anybody who's lived under a rock and doesn't know the Lizzie Borden story. We're going to get into a brief 15, 20-minute clip that brushes you up on the story of Lizzie Borden, and comment your ideas in the comments on how you would promote Lizzie Borden for Fall River, Massachusetts. One thing that I think would go viral instantly, have 100 people dressed up like Lizzie Borden just walking around the city with like fake hatchets. In this social media day and age, everybody would film them. They'd be like, yo, look, only in Fall River, you see Lizzie Borden with a hatchet, blah, blah, blah. Millions of views later, people will trickle down and into the city. Like, hey, that's where the Lizzie Borden is. Let me go check it out. Oh, they got this. They got a bed and breakfast. They got a coffee shop. They got this. They got that. Let me go. You know, and then we win them over with our restaurants, tell them to go to Battleship, and hey, guess what? Now we're a destination. But I'm going to get into this clip. Check it out. We'll talk about it.
Everyone in the English-speaking world knows Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks, and when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. 3 things in that rhyme are wrong. It was not 40, it was not 41, and a jury of 12 men in June of 1893 listened to 15 days of evidence and found that Lizzie Borden did not do it at all. But the word in that rhyme that is most wrong is the word mother, because the woman who died upstairs in that house on the 4th of August, 1892, was not Lizzie Borden's mother. And for the last 5 years of her life, Lizzie Borden had refused to call her that. She called her Mrs. Borden. She said so herself, under oath. Her name was Abby Durfee Gray. She was 64 years old, 5 feet 3 inches tall, and she had raised 2 girls who were not hers for 27 years before one of them stopped speaking to her at the dinner table. She was killed first. She lay upstairs for roughly 90 minutes while the household went on beneath her. And in all the millions of words written about that house since, she is the one nobody remembers. Welcome back to History Mark. I'm glad you're here. The case for today comes from Fall River, Massachusetts, in the year 1892. Her name was Abby Borden. Almost everything you have heard about this case is about somebody else, about the daughter who was arrested, the trial that gripped the country, the verdict that people still argue over. This is not that video. This is about the woman who died first in a small upstairs room and whose death has been a footnote in her own murder for 134 years. To understand this case, you have to understand the house, because the house explains almost everything about how it happened. Andrew Jackson Borden was one of the wealthiest men in Fall River. He had started with nothing, the son of a fish peddler, apprenticed to a carpenter, and by 1892 he was president of the Union Savings Bank, a director of several textile mills, and the owner of a great deal of property in a city built on cotton money. Fall River in 1892 was a mill town of about 75,000 people, and it had a geography of wealth. The people who owned the mills lived on the hill, up above the smoke, in large houses with lawns and modern plumbing. Andrew Borden did not live on the hill. He lived at 92 2nd Street, down in the flats, a few minutes' walk from his banks, in a narrow house on a narrow lot in a neighborhood of tradesmen. The house had no electricity. It had no bathtub. It had one cold water tap and a privy in the cellar. In a city where men with a third of his money lived on the hill, Andrew Borden kept his household to a standard that his daughters found humiliating. And the house had one other feature, which matters more than any of it. It had almost no hallways. It had been built as a two-family dwelling and converted badly. On the second floor, the rooms opened into one another rather than onto a corridor, and the only way from the front of the upper floor to the back was to go down the front stairs, through the ground floor, and up the back stairs again. So the family had solved the problem the way families did, with locks. The door between Lizzie's room and her parents' room was bolted on both sides. The front door had 3 separate fastenings. 5 adults lived in a house where you could not walk from one end of the upper floor to the other without going outside your own private territory. They locked their doors against each other every day and thought nothing of it. That is the house Abby Borden lived in for 27 years. She was born in Fall River on the 21st of January, 1828, the daughter of Oliver Gray, a tinsmith, and his wife Sarah. The Grays were respectable and not wealthy. Abby's middle name, Durfee, connected her to one of the founding families of the city, a connection she seems to have valued because she used it. She did not marry young. She did not marry at 20 or 25 or 30. In the Fall River of the 1850s and 60s, a woman still unmarried at 35 was finished, socially, and everyone understood that. She kept house. She was known as a kind woman and a quiet one. She was 37 years old when Andrew Borden asked her to marry him. He was a widower with 2 small daughters. His first wife, Sarah Morse, had died in 1863. Emma was 14, Lizzie was not yet 5, and had no memory of her mother at all. They married on the 6th of June, 1865. Here is what is worth sitting with. Abby Gray, at 37, with no children of her own and no prospect of any, walked into a house with a grieving 14-year-old and a toddler and became the only mother the younger one would ever know. And for a period of years, Lizzie Borden called her mother. We know that because Lizzie was asked about it directly, under oath, in 1892, and she confirmed it. The autopsy record describes her as 64 years old, 5 feet 3 inches, very well nourished. She had artificial teeth in the upper jaw. She rarely left the house. She did not have friends in the way her husband had business associates. Her world was her half-sisters, Sarah, called Bertie, and Priskin, Illa, and the 4 rooms she kept. She was, by every account that survives, an unremarkable and inoffensive woman. That is not a small thing to say about someone. Most of what is written about the Borden case is written about people who were remarkable, or thought they were. Abby Borden kept house for a difficult man for 27 years and was liked by the people who knew her, and if her stepdaughter had not been arrested, no one outside Fall River would ever have heard her name. In 1887, something happened that split the family permanently, and it is the reason this case exists. Abby's stepmother, Jane Gray, owned half of the old Gray homestead on 4th Street. Abby's half-sister, Bertie, was living in the other half with her husband and 2 small children, and the family had no money. If Jane's half were sold to a stranger, Bertie would lose the house. So Andrew Borden bought it, and he put the deed in Abby's name. He did not tell his daughters. When Emma and Lizzie found out, the reaction was severe enough that Andrew moved to buy peace. He deeded them a house on Ferry Street, the property they called Grandfather's House, for $1. It did not work. In the summer of 1892, weeks before the murders, the sisters sold that house back to their father for $5,000. Think about what the 1887 transaction actually was. A wealthy man spent a modest sum so that his wife's sister, who had nothing, would not lose her home. By any ordinary standard, it was a decent act. To Emma and Lizzie Borden, it was theft. Every dollar that reached Abby's family was a dollar leaving theirs. What followed is documented in the household's own routines. Lizzie stopped calling Abby mother. She began calling her Mrs. Borden. The sisters stopped eating with their father and stepmother, so the kitchen laid 2 separate sittings for every meal in a house with 1 dining table. In 1891, the master bedroom was burgled in daylight, cash and jewelry taken, a nail left in the lock, and the Fall River police went through the motions of an investigation that led nowhere in a locked house with 5 people in it. And in 1892, at the inquest, the district attorney asked Lizzie Borden directly about her relations with her stepmother. Were they those of daughter and mother? In some ways it was, and in some it was not. In what ways was it not? I did not call her mother. What name did she go by? Mrs. Borden. When did you begin to call her Mrs. Borden? I should think 5 or 6 years ago. What led to the change? The affair with her stepsister. So the affair was serious enough to have you change from calling her mother. I did not choose to call her mother. A dressmaker named Hannah Gifford would testify that a few months before the murders, Lizzie had described her stepmother to her in terms that were not affectionate and had said that she stayed in her own room most of the time. 5 people in a house with locked internal doors and 2 sittings at every meal. That was the household on the 3rd of August, 1892. Everyone in the house got sick. Abby and Andrew were violently ill through the night, vomiting, unable to keep anything down. Bridget Sullivan, the maid, was ill. Lizzie reported milder symptoms. The next morning, Abby Borden did something she almost never did. She walked out of the house, crossed 2nd Street, and called on the family physician, Dr. Seabury Bowen, without an appointment. She told him she believed the family was being poisoned. Bowen did not take it seriously, and there is no reason to think he should have. Fall River in August, in a house with no refrigeration, with milk left in a can on the back step overnight. Food made people ill constantly. He told her it was almost certainly something they had eaten, and that if the baker's bread were bad, he would be seeing half the street. He gave her castor oil and sent her home. He later said he had been afraid she was going to be sick in his office. He crossed the road afterwards to look in on Andrew. Andrew refused to be examined. He was annoyed that his wife had incurred a bill. That same day, Lizzie Borden went to see her friend Alice Russell and told her she was frightened. She said she thought the milk was being tampered with. She said her father had enemies. She said something was going to happen. And on that same day, the 3rd of August, a pharmacy clerk named Eli Bency at D.R. Smith's drugstore about a block from the Borden house later said that a woman came in and asked him for 10 cents worth of prussic acid. Prussic acid is hydrogen cyanide. She told him she wanted it to clean a sealskin cape. He told her he could not sell it without a prescription, and she left. Bence identified that woman as Lizzie Borden. Lizzie said she had never been in the shop and did not know where it was. That testimony was never heard by the jury. The court excluded it on the grounds that no poison was found in either body and that an attempt to buy something a full day earlier did not establish intent. Ely Bence sat in New Bedford, ready to testify, and was sent away. I am not going to tell you what that means. It is one fact: it was legally excluded, and the woman it concerned was acquitted. But the 3rd of August is a strange day, and it sits directly against the 4th. It was going to be a very hot day. 5 people were in the house that morning: Andrew, 69, Abby, 64, Lizzie, 32, Bridget Sullivan, 25, whom the family called Maggie, not her name, but the name of a previous servant, which tells you something about how the household saw her, and John Vinicum Morse, 59, the brother of Andrew's first wife, who had arrived the previous evening without luggage and stayed the night in the upstairs guest room. Emma was in Fairhaven, 15 miles away, visiting friends. She had been gone for 2 weeks. Breakfast was at 7. Morse and Andrew ate together and talked business. Morse left the house around 8:45 to visit relatives across town, and would produce later an alibi so detailed that some found it suspicious in itself. Andrew left shortly after 9 to make his rounds of the banks. Bridget was unwell and went out into the yard to be sick, then began washing the outside of the windows, which Abby had asked her to do. And at some point after 9 o'clock, Abby Borden went up the front stairs to the guest room to change the linen on the bed her brother-in-law had slept in. She never came down. The medical evidence indicated she was struck from behind without warning and that she was facing away from the door. The blows were to the back of her head. The number is usually given as 18 or 19. The count differs between sources and it does not matter very much. She would have died almost at once. I am not going to describe the room. It was described at enormous length in 1892 in newspapers that printed diagrams, and there is nothing in that detail that helps anyone understand this case. What matters is what happened next, which is nothing. For roughly the next 90 minutes, the household continued. Bridget washed windows in the yard, inside and out, moving from room to room on the ground floor. Lizzie was in the house. Nobody went upstairs to the front of the house. Abby Borden lay in the guest room between the bed and the bureau, and the mourning went on around her. At about 11:15, Andrew Borden came home. His key would not work the front door, which had been bolted. Bridget went to open it, found it stuck, and swore, and said afterwards that she heard Lizzie laugh on the stairs above her. Lizzie came down. Andrew asked where Abby was. Lizzie told him Abby had received a note from a friend who was ill and had gone out. No such note was ever found. No messenger ever came forward. No friend ever admitted to sending it. The Fall River Police advertised in the newspapers for the note's author and got nothing. Andrew Borden lay down on the sitting room sofa to rest. Bridget went up to her attic room to lie down and heard the City Hall clock strike 11. Some minutes later, she heard Lizzie calling her. "Maggie, come down quick, father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." Andrew Borden had been struck 10 or 11 times as he slept. He had not moved. Neighbours arrived. Mrs. Adelaide Churchill from next door. Dr. Bowen from across the street, Alice Russell. In the confusion, somebody asked where Mrs. Borden was, and Lizzie said she thought she had heard her come in, and that somebody had better look upstairs. It was Bridget Sullivan and Adelaide Churchill who went up together. Churchill was part way up the front stairs when her eye came level with the guest room floor, and she could see across it, under the bed. That is how Abby Borden was found, by a neighbour on a staircase, 90 minutes after she died, and half an hour after everybody in the house already knew there had been a murder. The gap between the two deaths is the most important fact in this case, and it is the reason Abby matters far more than the story usually allows. It was established by physical evidence. When the doctors examined the bodies, Andrew's blood was still liquid and his body was warm. Abby's blood had already congealed and darkened, and her body had begun to cool. The examinations of the stomach contents pointed the same way. Abby's breakfast was substantially further digested than her husband's. Dr. William Dolan, the medical examiner for Bristol County, put the gap at 90 minutes to 2 hours, and the defense never seriously contested it. Two consequences follow. The first is legal and cold, and it is worth understanding because it goes to why somebody might have wanted this particular order. Under Massachusetts law, if Abby had died after Andrew, she would have inherited a widow's share of his estate, and on her own death, that share would have passed to her heirs. Her heirs were Bertie Whitehead and Priscilla Fish, the two women whose house had caused all the trouble in 1887. Because Abby died first, she inherited nothing. Andrew's entire estate, a fortune of several $100,000 in the money of the day, passed to his surviving next of kin. That was Emma and Lizzie. I want to be careful here. A great many people have used that fact as though it settled the case. It does not. It establishes only that the order of the deaths had a financial consequence, and that the consequence favoured the two daughters. It does not establish who swung the hatchet, and a jury heard all of it and acquitted. The second consequence is not legal at all. For 90 minutes, a woman lay dead in an upstairs room of a small house while at least two people moved about below her, and not one of them went up. There was no reason anybody would have. She was quiet. She was often quiet. Nobody in that house had looked for Abby Borden in a long time. The investigation was poor, and it was poor in ways that were normal for 1892. The house filled with people within the hour, neighbours, doctors, police, and eventually reporters. Nobody controlled the scene. There was no protocol for preserving one. The seller produced 4 hatchets and axes. One of them, found in a box of dust, had a broken handle and its head had been rubbed with ash, the so-called handleless hatchet, which became the state's candidate for the weapon. Police testimony at trial contradicted itself over who had taken it and whether the handle had been attached when it was found. It was never conclusively linked to anything. 3 days after the murders on the 7th of August, Alice Russell walked into the kitchen and found Lizzie Borden burning a dress in the stove. Lizzie said it was stained with paint. Russell said nothing at the time. She said it later, to the grand jury, and the Borden sisters never spoke to her again. Lizzie was arrested on the 11th of August. On the same day, the bodies of Andrew and Abby Borden were taken from the holding tomb at Oak Grove Cemetery, and Dr. Dolan, assisted by Dr. Frank Draper of Boston, performed the autopsies. The heads were removed and the skulls kept as evidence. The trial opened at New Bedford on the 5th of June 1893 before 3 judges. The prosecution was led by Hosea Knowlton and William Moody. The defense was led by Andrew Jennings and by George Robinson, a former governor of Massachusetts, and one of the 3 judges on the bench, Justin Dewey, had been appointed to that bench by Robinson during his governorship. Dewey delivered the charge to the jury. Contemporary observers described it as reading more like a closing argument for the defense. 2 things the jury never heard. Lizzie's inquest testimony was excluded because she had not been cautioned and had been under a physician's care and given morphine at the time. Eli Bence's testimony was excluded. One thing the jury did see: when Moody opened the state's case, he threw Lizzie's blue dress down onto the prosecution table, and it uncovered the 2 skulls beneath it. Lizzie Borden fainted in the courtroom. On the 20th of June 1893, after roughly an hour and a half, the jury returned a verdict of not guilty. Some accounts hold that they had reached it within minutes and simply waited a decent interval before coming back. No one else was ever charged. The case is officially unsolved. Lizzie Borden inherited. She and Emma bought a large house up on the hill, the neighborhood their father had refused to live in, and Lizzie named it Maplecroft and had the name carved into the step. She lived there, largely cut off by the town, until she died on the 1st of June 1927. Emma died 9 days later. Both were buried in the family plot at Oak Grove. And Abby's family, who had no legal claim on anything, were not forgotten in the end. The 2 sisters transferred to Bertie Whitehead and Priscilla Fish the deed to Abby's portion of the 4th Street house, the house that had started all of it, along with Abby's personal effects and $4,000 in bank deposits. From Abby's own small estate, Bertie and Priscilla each received $788.83. Bertie Whitehead kept her home. That is what the 1887 quarrel had been about, and in the end, after everything, that is how it came out. Abby Borden was buried in the Borden family plot at Oak Grove Cemetery alongside Andrew and alongside Andrew's first wife Sarah, and eventually alongside the 2 daughters who had stopped calling her mother. And now I want to turn something over. That rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. Is wrong about the number, wrong about the weapon, and wrong about the verdict. It is a piece of playground nonsense that has outlived every serious account of this case. But look at the word it gets wrong most badly. Mother. Lizzie Borden spent the last 5 or 6 years of Abby's life refusing that word. She said so under oath. I did not choose to call her mother. The whole rupture in that household is contained in that one refusal. And then Abby Borden died, and a rhyme made up by strangers, children, skipping rope, who had no idea what they were saying, gave the word back to her. So far as I can find, the only place in the entire popular memory of this case where Abby Borden is called anybody's mother is in the song that accuses her stepdaughter of killing her. This case would not survive a week now. Start with the house. A modern scene would have been sealed within minutes and every person crossing it logged. In 1892, the Borden house was full of neighbours, then police, then journalists within an hour, and there were 2 separate scenes in that house, one of them 90 minutes older than the other, and nobody was thinking in those terms. In 1892, the state could establish that blood was present and, with difficulty, that it was probably human. It could not group it, and it could not distinguish one person's from another's. Modern examination would separate Andrews from Abby's absolutely, and that matters more here than in almost any case I have covered, because the central question was always whether anything on any garment, in any room, or on any implement had come from upstairs. A single trace of Abby's blood in a place it could not innocently be would have ended the argument in either direction. Then the spatter. The physical evidence in that guest room encoded the attacker's position, height, handedness, and the sequence of the blows. In 1892, that information was simply lost. Bloodstain pattern analysis did not exist as a discipline. It was looked at and described and not read. Then the hatchet. A modern laboratory would take the handleless hatchet apart, the ash on the head, the break in the wood, the seating where handle met head, and could say whether it had ever been in contact with either victim. In 1892, the police could only say that it looked as if it might have been cleaned, and then contradict each other in the witness box about where they had found it. Then the note. Abby was said to have been called out by a message from a sick friend. It has never been produced, and no author ever came forward. A modern investigation would treat that note as the single most important physical object in the case and would pursue it accordingly. In 1892, the police put an advertisement in the paper, and then the thing that no laboratory provides. In 1892, the idea that a 32-year-old Sunday school teacher from a respectable family could kill 2 people with a hatchet was, to an all-male jury in Massachusetts, close to unthinkable, and the defense said so directly. That was not a failure of forensic science, it was a failure of imagination, and the science that arrived later would not have needed to argue with it. It would simply have produced the answer. 2 questions for you today. First, the order of the deaths had a clear financial consequence, and that consequence favored the 2 daughters, and yet 12 men heard all of it and acquitted in an hour and a half. Do you think that jury reached the right verdict on the evidence they were actually allowed to hear? Or do you think the exclusions, the inquest testimony, the pharmacy clerk decided that case before it ever reached them? And second, Abby Borden was a stepmother in a house where 2 grown stepdaughters had stopped using her name. Every family has somebody who married in and was never quite let in. An aunt by marriage, a second wife, a step-parent who did the work for decades and stayed on the edge of the photographs. Is there someone like that in your family's history, and did they ever get their due? Tell me in the comments. I read every reply. Thank you for being here. The channel will see you again in the next one. History Mark.
Let me try this again. I was muted. So, brief little history on Lizzie Borden, about 20 minutes long, to brush you guys up on some of the facts if you're unfamiliar with them. And if this case would have happened today, she would have been convicted. However, everybody's saying, oh, she didn't do it. She didn't do it. Well, it's because she beat the case. And a lot of that was bad policing and bad judgment. And, us men thinking that a woman couldn't do that. Well, we've seen plenty female murderers since. We've even seen female serial killers. So, we've learned a lot in the last 125 years. Now, moving along, check this out. We'll talk about it. All right, we talked about that one already. So, This is it right here. St. Michael's Community for Ryan Klein. There's a new Facebook page. A message to our St. Michael's families. We understand many of you are weighing whether to transfer your children elsewhere. Before you decide, please think this through with us. If you're considering another school for your child, think about this. Another Catholic school up the road may feel like the safer, easier choice, but within the same diocese, you're still feeding money to the same people behind what's happening to us right now. The building changes, the hands it lands in don't. Or public school, if that's genuinely the right fit for your family, we understand. But if it's a reaction to this fight, understand what it means. It tells them we bowed out. It hands them exactly what they wanted, our money without a fight. Not the outcome any of us want for this community. Today at St. Michael's, if schools like ours give in or close, the pattern won't stop. Another parish community will be next. We also want to be honest about why we believe we've been targeted. It's not because our school is failing our children. It isn't. It's because we've built up a healthy reserve. And the sooner a school concedes or closes, the sooner those funds change hands. So, in this post from former principal of St. Michael's School, Ryan Klein, there's a Facebook page, a community page of people supporting him. Not verified on who runs the page. It sounds like him. However, he's stating that the target on his back isn't because of any improper doings he was doing at the St. Michael's School. He claims it's because the school generated enough revenue that they basically got a big bank account because the school was popular. But get him out the school, close the building down, sell the building, and take all that money elsewhere is the game plan he's implying in that post on the St. Michael's Community for former principal Ryan Klein. So what is your thoughts on that? Comment below. Now about Lizzie Borden. Jean St. Pierre put, that's because in the 1800s, women were housemaids, wives, daughters. They was around or subject to violence, so they didn't learn how to be violent. There's still more to this case. There's definitely a reason. If Lizzie did it, she did it for a reason other than we have been told. There's been so many rumors, so many stories. That's why I'm interested in this Netflix monster Lizzie Borden series. That way we can see which angle they go for. Will it be the angle that, hey, it was about property and the 4th Street home and money and them having all this money and not going to the daughters, it going to the new wife first? Was it that? Because Lizzie and Emma did split the money, and then Maplecroft. Was Lizzie and Emma in on it? There's so many different rumors. There's even rumors of Lizzie and Bridget doing it. One of the uncles coming in doing it. So many rumors. So it being so long ago, we'll never fully find out. And that is the lore and the mystery. And that's why we need to promote Lizzie Borden. Because it's a moneymaker and a cash cow if we promote it right. What do I know? I'm just a kid from Florida. Now, before we get into some, bigger news, light work, check this out. We'll talk about it. Watch out, folks. A concerned citizen sent this in. The corner of Lincoln Ave and North Main Street. It's like a Mario tunnel. Just jump down. Horrible. Hey, Fall River, can we get these things fixed? Or am I going to hear we'll try? We got to try harder. That hole can fit a whole person. Moving along, check this out. We'll talk about it. $250 too much or appropriate? What kind of nonsense is this? Just got home from work at 4:30 p.m. and got this nonsense ticket. Not everyone has the privilege of having a driveway. Also, the street I live on has plenty of parking. Called the clerk's office and she said they are pushing a new city ordinance for commercial vehicles being parked outside residential areas from 5 to 7 a.m. Just another way, a reason to take money from the working class. All-night parking of commercial vehicle, $250 fine. Listen, guys, I understand. I get it. Times is tough. You don't got a driveway. You got the work truck that your boss says, hey, you can take it home. So a lot of you with your work vehicle, you don't have another vehicle. Or like maybe your significant other does. But your vehicle is your work vehicle for most people. So leaving it at work leaves them without a vehicle. I get that struggle. Lack of driveways and parking spots. I get that struggle. However, for other people who have to park on the street, when you have 3, 4 contractors' trucks parked on the same street, it's a problem. Now, it's also a problem the tighter the street is. It's also not a new ordinance. This ordinance has been around forever. Like, forever. However, Fall River, we don't really like enforce things. Certain workers do. Ordinances, I believe, is something that to fix Fall River, we have to start with. I'm all for this fine. Park your work truck somewhere else. Or get in a position where, hey, you need a driveway. Or some people got garages for rent. It's more of a hassle. It's not, hey, I can park wherever I want. But it is a public street. Not commercial parking. Not doing a job during the day, there's no fine. You can park wherever during the day. At night, 5 p.m. to I believe 6, 7 a.m. Yeah, work's done in those fields. So, cry me a river. I don't care. I really don't. Fall River needs to generate revenue. If we keep allowing Karens and Kevins to do whatever they want, Fall River will never make any money. One thing that could generate a shitload of money in this city is actually utilizing these flock cameras that we got around for speeding and traffic ordinance violations and mailing out tickets to people for speeding, for not signaling, not following the rules of the road. Guess what? If you know you're going to go drive into somewhere and get ticketed, you're going to follow the law. I don't know about you, right? I'm born and raised Fall River, Mass. Fall River not big on like seatbelt violations. I don't give a fuck if you got a seatbelt on. However, drive into Tiverton, Rhode Island. They will pull your ass over quick for a seatbelt violation. Why? Because they're not that busy. They got shit to do. They gotta find out things to make their day go faster. However, people know. I don't know about you. Seatbelt goes on the shoulder going into Tiverton. That way they don't say, hey, we pulled you over for not having your seatbelt on. Here's a ticket. Excuse you? If Fall River did that, there'd be less speeding, there'd be less accidents, since there's so many accidents monthly. Now, Gene put, Aaron, the trucks they're talking about are box trucks. You can park a company van, but you can't have a box truck or larger because it takes up too much room and sticks out from the curbing too far. Yeah, I agree. The vans, like the little transit vans, they're fine. I mean, they're transit vans. They're small. They're designed to be like compact. However, the big box trucks, the streets are too narrow to play them games. Now, moving along to saving the best for last. Check this out. We'll talk about it. Former police officer receives probation for 2024 assault charges. Former police officer Mark Correa is set to avoid a verdict in his case after reaching a plea deal. His charges stemmed from a 2024 incident which the alleged victim described fearing for their safety. Charge of witness intimidation had been dismissed by a judge in March 2026. Correa remains on leave from Fall River Police Department. Fall River Police Department K-9 officer who has been on leave since 2024 is set to avoid a verdict for weapons and domestic violence charges after reaching a plea deal. In the agreement made on July 28th, prosecutors recommended that 34-year-old Mark Correa remain on pretrial probation until September 1st. Completing pretrial probation allows defendants to resolve criminal cases without having to plead guilty or not guilty. Correa faced one charge of improperly storing a firearm and one charge of assault and battery on a household member. Both were misdemeanors after the weapons charge was amended from a felony. A third felony charge of witness intimidation had been dismissed in March 2026. Correa remains on administrative leave from the Florida Police Department, according to Deputy Chief of Police Borden Castro. Now that the criminal case has concluded, the Florida Police Department's Office of Professional Standards will complete its internal administrative investigation to determine whether any departmental rules, regulations, policies, or procedures were violated. This administrative review is independent of and separate from the criminal proceedings, Castro wrote. So, a relative had filed a report after alleged assault victim, minor children, and a pet dog came to the relative's house from the Correa family home. According to the report, Mark Correa had left for an event that involved alcohol, taking keys to family vehicles, while leaving his work-issued guns, ammunition, and taser easily accessible in his closet. The relative told police that the alleged victim feared for their safety and had accused Correa of past physical abuse but had not reported it to police out of fear for Correa's job status. Correa was charged with witness intimidation after he allegedly called a different family member, directing that person to call and tell the relative to get out of the police station and withdraw the complaint, according to the police. In March 2026, Judge Edward Krippendorf dismissed that charge. Correa's lawyer argued in an affidavit that the statements made to the family member did not rise to witness intimidation and that when viewed in their entirety constitute generalized advice and expressions of concern rather than intimidation, coercion, or obstruction of justice. In 2024, a police report indicated that Correa is a Marines veteran who served 2 tours of duty in a combat zone in Afghanistan before he was hired as a former police officer. According to city budget documents, he remained on the city payroll for the duration of his criminal case. Now, guys, I get it. You're in America. We have right to due process. We also have the understanding that we should put police to a higher standard. I feel like even though you're innocent until proven guilty, in a situation like this, where an officer is getting paid, or anybody who's getting paid with tax dollars, should immediately lose their position upon any criminal arraignment. So if you get charged with any criminal charge and handcuffs go on your wrist and you get arrested and you're getting paid with tax dollars, in my opinion, you should be let go. The normal person would get let go and replaced from any other job, especially, low income jobs. Oh, you're fired that day. Bye. Sorry. Don't come to work when you bail out. No. And with the administrative leave, he was still getting a paycheck. And dragged the case out for 2 years. That way, with his deal, since he has a pretrial probation, so it's basically like everything that probation is, just while you're waiting trial. Doing the pretrial probation for 2 years while getting a paycheck from the Florida Police Department for not doing anything, for not working. And in the article, it states that his defense attorney plans to sign a plea agreement that, basically time served for probation type shit. What the fuck? I don't know, people. I really don't know. I got a real radical idea that would not only generate huge revenue for Foreign, it also would create more transparency, safety, and would have officers follow protocol to the T. My idea is live stream the body cams. On the Fall River Police Department website, in my opinion, the police chief should do this not only to generate revenue for the department, since they're the ones generating the revenue, but that could alleviate some of the money that comes from the budget, because they could be more self-sufficient like EMS is. Live stream the body cams, where you go on fallriverpolice.gov or org or whatever the website is, .com. Assuming it's like a gov because government. Fallriverpolice.com. Go on their website, all their social media pages, and there'll be like a home screen where you can click each profile picture of each officer. So say this officer, Mark Correa. You see his picture, his name, a little red dot that he's live. Click it. And now Officer Mark Correa's got 400 people watching him live. Do you believe, or do you even think he would step out of line or not follow protocol to a T? Of course he would. He has an audience that if he does something wrong, he will be called out. Every single officer would follow protocol completely. There would be no slacking. And that would rebuild trust in the community ties with these officers, because you will have officers that become like stars, influencers, because, hey, that's a great cop, every time I watch his live stream, guy's amazing. So now they're going viral. And that money goes to the department and could even kick back to the city a little bit without coming out of residents' pockets at all, and only providing more transparency and safety. However, it'll never happen because police body cams, we have to, hold on. And a lot of people say, well, there's personal information that violate people's rights, their privacy. You don't have the right to privacy when you're in a public interaction with a public officer. So if you're in an interaction with a police officer, you don't have a right to privacy. Anybody can film you, record you, whatever, because you're interacting with the public official who's paid for with tax dollars. Unless you're in a private space, like in your own home, then yeah. And public information, there's public records. All you gotta do is request. You could do like these award shows do. Have like a 2-3 minute delay where you could censor something out. Now that's a job created. Hey, what do I know? I'm just a kid from Florida. Speaking of jobs, job growth, money, here's some job positions if you're looking for a gig. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to thank everybody for interacting. And everybody be good, be safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, treat each other with love, dignity, respect, and all that. You already know what it is. It's your boy Aaron All Nighter. Forever, you know, I'm off this. Peace.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Nursing assistant, lifespan at St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is looking for a full-time nursing assistant responsible for providing basic bedside care and helping patients with daily living activities. Job number 245-78546. Intake Coordinator, Family Service Association, located at 151 Rock Street, seeks a full-time intake coordinator to collect personal and medical details, check health insurance coverage, and schedule appointments. Job number 245-80183. Guest Service Representative, Holiday Inn Express and Suites, located at 360 Airport Road, is seeking a full-time guest service representative responsible for checking in guests, answering phones, and taking reservations. Job number 245-80889. Weekend Shift Registered Nurse, the Fall River Deaconess Home, located at 259 Prospect Street, is urgently looking for a part-time weekend shift registered nurse. For more information, call 508-674-4847. Innovative Defense Technologies, located at 456 Bedford Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Linux System Developer, job number 245-78602. Systems Engineer, job number 245-78571. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
All-nighter. Street magic. Chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. Need y'all to take a ride with me. I'm just giving forever what I know. Riding through my city that they're gentrifying, market rate housing while there's homeless dying. And I know that they're trying cause this program's out there, but I ain't reaching out there, they ain't reaching out there. Empty storefronts, internet to blame, gotta move different if nothing is the same. Entertainment venues, bringing nightlife, transparent police, body cams that's live, I mean live stream they whole shift. Personal info can censor it, even though when involving police it becomes public info. But that's a different topic for a different tempo. Back to my city that they're gentrifying, panhandlers on the Ave and the addicts dying, parents crying, losing kids, half my generation that are doing bids. So how are we gonna get to the youth, teach them right and wrong, when not to shoot? Started young in kindergarten, mental health class, your brain's a garden. Teach them all about their feelings. The senior year, let's start the healing. Since tech's here to stay, let's teach with VR, less bills that way. But what do I know? What can I say? I'm just kid from Fall River. It's just my observations. Chopped in silence. Kelly Azul on the beat. It's all nighter.